processes more than 23,000 cases every year, totaling approximately $35 million. It is important to determine if the currency you possess is eligible for redemption at BP. For our purposes, U.S. currency can be classified in the following ways: fit, unfit, contaminated, counterfeit, and mutilated. If what you are trying to redeem falls in any category other than mutilated, BP will not be able to process it. Fit notes are normal notes you can use in everyday commerce. They are not eligible for redemption at BP. These are considered fit notes. They have no significant blemishes or deterioration. They work well in vending machines and ATMs. Unfit notes are notes that are torn, worn, graffitied, missing a piece, or otherwise won't work well in vending machines or ATMs. Although these notes are damaged, they are not considered mutilated and are not eligible for redemption at BP. The notes shown here are unfit, not mutilated. Your local bank or credit union can exchange them if the unfit note contains at least 51% or more of the original note and doesn't require specialized examination to determine the note's denomination or authenticity. Contaminated notes may have mold, blood, or other contaminants on them. BP does not process contaminated notes. Contaminated notes need to be packaged in a special way. They should go to your deposit bank or directly to the Federal Reserve if you are a Federal Reserve Bank member. At the end of this video, we will provide a link to the Federal Reserve's website for instructions on handling contaminated currency. Counterfeit notes are notes that are not genuine U.S. currency and have been produced illegally. Please do not send counterfeit notes to BP. These are a few examples of counterfeit notes. Suspected counterfeit currency should be reported to local authorities. Law enforcement agencies, banks, and cash processors will submit alleged counterfeit currency to the United States Secret Service. The Secret Service has a web submission tool for counterfeits, which we will provide a link to at the end of this video. BP does not accept any coin or foreign currency. We only accept genuine U.S. paper currency. Mutilated currency includes, and is not limited to, notes that have been shredded, buried, burned, or dried to a petrified state. The notes shown here are considered mutilated. As you can see, they come in a variety of different shapes and forms. These types of notes are eligible for examination at BP. Trained examiners will receive the mutilated currency to determine its value and authenticity. If it is determined that what you have is indeed mutilated currency, the next step is to fill out BP Form 5283 at BP's website. Please visit the link below to access the resources which we referenced earlier in the video. If you have additional questions, please email the Mutilated Currency Division at mcbstatus@bp.gov. Thank you for watching. Hello, thank you for watching. In this video, we will discuss how to submit requests for mutilated currency for possible redemption. This process is done by completing an online form at bp.gov. All requests for mutilated currency examination for possible redemption must be submitted by using the BP Form 5283 shown here. Failure to meet Form 5283 may result in significant processing delays or even the partial return of the claim. In addition to expediting the process, direct deposit uses paper rates that limits the mailing of tens of thousands of paper checks each year. To fill out Form 5283, go to our website, bp.gov, and select the mutilated currency redemption on the home. You can also navigate to the mutilated currency page from the Services tab at the top navigation. After reviewing the information on the currency redemption webpage, select Submit a Request for Examination of Mutilated Currency for possible redemption, either on the bottom of the page or on the left navigation. Here, you will be presented with instructions to submit the form. as well as our Privacy Act statement and certification statement. When you're ready, click the blue button to begin filling out the online form. Please select either individual or institution from the drop-down box. The processes for submitting as an individual or institution are the same, but each must use their respective form. Please note that
100 offshore trusts, thousand digital plus, million layers rust, billion broken trust.
Hello and thank you for watching. In this video, we will discuss how to properly prepare the mutilated currency package. Aside from providing a complete and accurate Form 5283, the most important thing when shipping your claims is properly packaging the damaged matter. This is especially true for fire damage or brittle notes. Excessive movement during shipping can cause further damage, so it's important to carefully package the notes. You should handle the fragments as minimally as possible to avoid further damage. If the currency was in a roll and mutilated, do not attempt to unroll or straighten it out. Please note that if your submission arrives at BP in a state where we cannot authenticate and denominate the notes, we cannot redeem them. It is your responsibility to ensure the notes are not disturbed in transit. The best way to package burned or brittle currency is to use a plastic container large enough for the currency with a good amount of heat. First, fill the container about half full with cotton balls. Then place the burned or brittle currency inside the container and use more cotton balls to protect the notes from shifting with the container. Place more packing material in the shipping box to secure the plastic container inside the box. Be careful to avoid too much room or the container could shift and damage the notes. Once you have secured the notes in the container and the container in the box, place your completed Form 5283 inside the box. Make sure the box is properly sealed. Please note that material shipped to BP cannot be returned, including the currency notes plastic container and cotton balls. Although senders can select which method or carrier to ship their mutilated currency, we recommend using the U.S. Postal Service. If using the USPS, please use the registered mail return receipt requested option. At this time, U.S. Postal Service mail can be insured for up to $50,000 for each package. Regardless of which service or method you use, the sender is responsible for insuring and tracking the package delivery. All redemption claims must either be mailed or brought in person to the BP's Washington, D.C. facility.
Quarter past the hand, dime, bread, nickel, offshore land, penny, quick demand, 100, deep state wire, 50, burn the fire, 20, false expire, 10, secret buyer, see no, ghostly trace, Tino,
The latest federal
bonded funds, with no face, reserve flows in silent space,
while you make an
100 cloaking dagger, thousand pants swagger, million paper dagger, million trip stagger, Bitcoin, darknet drip, Litecoin patch, silent flip, XRP rebel coded, Bitcoin lab, fast trip, 100 offshore trust, thousand digital dust, million layers rust, million broken trust, 100 deep ledger fold, 50 stories told, 20 lives retold, 10 paper gold, Bitcoin, digital Binance, CBDC, blockchain sign, tethered funds, offshore line,
I know. Okay,
100 silent screen, thousand shadows, million broken dream, trillion never
operating
seen.
instructions. Hold the IB unit so that the key ring at the bottom raise this. Insert the band such that each edge of banknotes left to the long side of the unit. The banknote has been fully inserted.
50, 20, 10.
Announce the denomination of the
$1, 20, 25, 25, 25, 10, 10, 10.
Features and controls.
5, 1, 1, 1, 1,000,
iBill
1,000,
is operated by
1,000,
two buttons.
1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1, 25, 10, 5, 1, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 50, 20, 10, 5, 1, 25, 10, 5, 1, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000,
Battery.
500, 500, 200, 200, 125, 10, 5, 1, 1,000, 1,000, now 125, 25,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 200, 200, 200, 120, 50, 50, 20, 20, 10, 10, 5, 5, 2, 2, 1, 1, 25, 25,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 5, 10, 25, 50, 100, 125, 10, 5, 1, 1,000, 1,000, 10, 10, 10, 5, 5, 5, 1, 1, 1, 25, 25, 25, 10, 10, 10, 5, 5, 5, 1, 1, 1, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 50, 20, 10, 5, 1, 25, 10, 5, 1, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 150, 20, 10, 5, 1, 25, 10, 5, 1, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000,
Reach. $10. One high pitch beat. One long pulse.
1, 5, 10, 25, 50, 100, 125, 10, 5, 1, 1,000, 1,000, 10, 10, 10, 5, 5, 5, 1, 1, 1, 25, 25, 25, 10, 10, 10, 5, 5, 5, 1.
$100. 4 beeps in low high pattern, or 4 pulses in short long pattern. Error is indicated by 3 beeps of different pitch or a very long pulse. If the unit does not work, please call the U.S. Currency Reader Program information line toll-free at 844-815-9388 for further assistance. The iBill Talking Banknote Identifier is designed to assist in the identification of United States Federal Reserve notes. It does not guarantee authenticity of currency. The new version 2.0 of iNote application app will utilize a continuous scan function. The continuous scanning shall commence once the application is loaded. To complete a successful scan, the note should be positioned 6 to 8 inches away from the camera.
$20. Front.
The app must scan more than half of the note to recognize it. Adequate natural or artificial lighting is required for proper scanning.
$20. Back.
For ideal conditions, limit hand movement to reduce image blur. For best results, place like
August 29, 2012 marks successful centennial. Manufacturing the nation's currency, we've established a remarkable legacy of pride and innovation over the past 150 years. This organization, the BNP has achieved significant milestones these more than 1 trillion notes in circulation, 2/3 of which is overseas. On behalf of all BDP employees, past and present, I invite you to join us in commemorating this historic occasion. Please check our website frequently for events and activities at the Washington, D.C. and Fort Worth, Texas locations, as we offer you
Hello, I'm David. Welcome back to our new $100 note podcast. You joined us for episode 3 in our series. I hope you tuned into the earlier episodes in our series where we learned about many of the security Western uses to protect the integrity of our currency. We demonstrated how easy it is to protect yourself from counterfeits by learning to use the note's security features. But did you ever wonder how our currency actually gets designed? Who determines which features should be included in a note's redesign? What considerations need to be taken into account? In today's segment, we'll answer these questions and more. We're going to get the inside scoop on the art of the design in the new $100 note, including how 3 agencies of the U.S. government work together every step of the way in the redesign of U.S. currency. Our special guests today are Mr. Larry Felix, the Director of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, and Mr. Michael Lambert, Assistant Director at the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System. Today we're going to discuss their agencies' respective roles in the currency redesign process and the collaborative efforts that take place to maintain the integrity of U.S. currency. And now, please welcome Larry and Michael. Larry. Thanks for coming. Thank you. So Larry, overall, what are we talking about when we discuss the design of the note?
We're speaking of the design in the broadest sense of the word when we talk about the design of paper currency. Currency design goes deeper than just aesthetics. It's about look and functionality. The Bureau of Engraving and Printing is responsible for manufacturing of U.S. currency, and our goal is to provide the Federal Reserve, and ultimately the public, with the highest quality notes possible to ensure that the notes work first off every time in every context.
And Michael, what is the Federal Reserve's role in this process?
Well, David, Congress established the Federal Reserve System in 1913 as the central bank of the United States. And it's composed of a central governmental agency, which is the Board of Governors located in Washington, D.C., and also includes the 12 regional Federal Reserve banks. But to talk specifically about what that has to do with the design process, the Board of Governors is the issuing authority for Federal Reserve notes, which are commonly known as dollars or bills. And what that means, issuing authority, is that we turn the pieces of paper that are produced at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing into lawful money or legal tender. So we consider a wide range of topics at the Federal Reserve, ranging from how much currency we need to have in circulation to meet the demands of the public, but also how to maintain the quality of currency once it's out into circulation. Today we're here to talk about banknote design, which in the United States is a collaborative process. During the design process, the Federal Reserve works with the Treasury and its Bureau of Engraving and Printing and the United States Secret Service to make recommendations to the Secretary of the Treasury for the designs of Federal Reserve notes, because the Secretary has the ultimate authority to approve designs for U.S. currency. And our work has become very challenging over time because we have to develop designs that are both very difficult for the counterfeiter to counterfeit, but really easy for the public to use. And while that sounds simple, it's very complicated. You know, we used to have to just worry about how much we put out into circulation, but today we have to worry about how it functions in a multitude of cash-accepting and dispensing machines all over the world.
Larry, can you tell us more about how the security features interact with the design of this new note?
This new 100 note has the most advanced security features, and what's interesting about it is it's now in 3 dimensions. The 3D security ribbon adds another layer, another dimension. It brings depth, it brings complexity. You know, digital technology can faithfully reproduce 2 dimensions, but we have now gone to the 3rd dimension to be able to address that issue. This 3D security ribbon is actually woven into the paper, and it moves as you tilt the note back and forth. The image moves left to right. In addition, we've also added a feature where a bell pops in and out of the note bell. It's almost like magic. Pops in, pops out. So these are examples of the 2 new features, but we've really retained some of the additional features. We've retained the watermark, which you can hold it up to the light. We've retained the embedded security thread. The portrait of Benjamin Franklin remains on the front of the note. On the back of the note, as you can see, we have the new vignette. It's the same image of Independence Hall, but this time it's the rear as opposed to the front. The American symbols of freedom, the phrases on the notes, has the Declaration of Independence, has the quill, the Founding Fathers used the sign, that's all on the note. So although it's a modern note, it's retained images of traditional American icons and on the entire note.
Why not introduce more drastically different designs instead?
That's a really important question, David. So that while the redesign was in development, we conducted extensive qualitative and quantitative research all around the world to better understand how the public interacts with U.S. currency. That research was important because up to 2/3 of all $100 notes circulate outside of our borders. So we wanted to understand the needs of such a diverse user base and then integrate their needs into the new design. So what we learned with three primary things. The first was that people really don't want drastic change. They want to have a few features that they know are good and that they can use. So they want us to retain sort of legacy features, such as the portrait watermark and the embedded security thread, because many people around the world continue to use them and believe in them, and they continue to be effective. So the third piece was that they wanted the security features to allow them to be more discreet, because some of the legacy features require people to actually hold them up to light. In some places in the world, that's perfectly fine. They're used to it. They've had watermarks for centuries. But in the United States, people culturally are not as accustomed to that. So we heard from them and from others around the world that finding features that they could use through small movements of their hands, such as the security ribbon I was just talking about, and the bell and the inkwell, accomplished exactly that.
Has computer technology changed the design process?
Yeah, to some extent, David, it has. The AEPs now using modern press production tools that incorporate technology as a way to improve upon time testing grading techniques in a way that sustains the security of the segment, but it also adds complexity and additional capability and flexibility in the process of creative design. The BEP believes that these two really liberates the engraver. Now, let me be clear. Although we use these tools, it's very important for us to know that we need an engraver. We need to experience someone to conceptualize how to make a design. But now we have the modern tools that assist the engraver.
Are there any other design security features that you know about?
So if you look at the
It's astonishing that so much time is given away with these case.
Scientists at the Bureau
How much excitement has been
and by working together, and to educate about these security features and how the public should use them.
Okay, just remember, it takes only a second to move your This is a team effort. Michael, thank you so much for coming to see us. We appreciate having you here. Provide us with valuable insights into the process behind the development of the new $100 note. This information and how to authenticate your $100 note can be found on the website at www.newmoney.com. And now it's time to serve up some trivia on the $100 note segment. Talk about printing your money. Does it only happen at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing in Washington, D.C.? Well, back in 1985, the Treasury Department evaluated long-term currency and business continuity requirements and decided it needed another site in addition to the D.C. facility to produce currency. So, the Treasury told the Bureau to find a site west of the Mississippi for a second facility. 83 cities submitted proposals, and 11 cities were selected as finalists. Each offer was carefully reviewed, and in the end, the best proposal, which included an optimum combination of land, production facility, and security elements, was submitted by the city of Fort Worth. The Fort Worth location, known to us as the Western Currency Facility, occupies 100 acres of land 15 miles north of the city of Fort Worth, and officially opened on April 26th of 1991. So take a closer look at the currency in your pocket. If you see a little FW located in the upper left corner of the note, to the right of the numeral 100, then that note was produced in the Fort Worth facility. The new $100 note we're talking about in these podcasts marks the very first time that the facilities in both Washington, D.C. and Fort Worth have printed $100 notes. So look closely. When the new $100 note begins circulating, you may see some with the FW and some without, depending on where it was manufactured. Be sure to explore the other episodes in this series and check out newmoney.gov, the official site for information about the new $100 note. Until next time, remember, it only takes a few seconds to check the new $100 note. Know its features, know it's real. Hello, I'm David. Welcome back to our new $100 Note podcast series, a podcast series dedicated to informing you of everything you need to know about the redesigned $100 notes. You've joined us for episode 2 in our series, How to Detect a Counterfeit. I hope you caught the first episode where we learned that the design of the new $100 note includes 2 new advanced security features, the 3D security ribbon and the bell and the inkwell. Remember, we want you to know about the note's security features so that if you have a reason to doubt that the note you're about to accept is real, you know what to look for to verify its authenticity. Today's show, I'm excited to say, is going to be fascinating. First, we'll continue to learn about security features that are included on the new $100 note, such as the portrait watermark, the security thread, color shifting ink, raised printing, and microprinting. Not only will we learn how these features help protect you from accepting a counterfeit note, but we'll also show you some of the tricks counterfeiters use so that you can avoid fakes. We're going to demonstrate how counterfeiters fool businesses and consumers, and we'll actually meet with one of the leading forensic scientists who will show us the clues that help put the counterfeiters behind bars. Think about it. Counterfeiters don't need to get their notes exactly right. They just need to make them good enough to trick someone. Stay tuned and we'll show you how, with minimal effort in just a few seconds, you can check the new $100 note and be sure that it's real. Our special guest today plays a primary role in the United States Secret Service's global pursuit of counterfeiters, Supervisory Counterfeit Specialist Kelly Harris. Kelly leads a team of highly trained forensic scientists in the Criminal Investigative Division's Washington, D.C. Counterfeit Lab. And now, without further delay, please welcome Kelly Harris. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, David.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
So in our last podcast, we talked a lot about the new security features in the new $100 note, the security ribbon and the bell and the inkwell. Can you describe for us some of the other security features on the note?
Sure. I have an example of the new 100 here. And as you mentioned, you've already discussed the 2 new security features. We also knew that some of the security features previously used were very effective, and so we also kept those in this design. First is the portrait watermark. Now, if you hold the note up to the light, you can see a faint image of Benjamin Franklin. Now, to make it easier, I'll put it on a light table for you to see.
Yep, I can see him right there.
So that's what's called the portrait watermark, and you can view it from both sides of the bill. Now on the left-hand side of the node is a embedded security thread. Now this feature has a property that causes it to glow pink in UV light. So if you put the node under UV light.
Yeah, actually, could we just dim the light so we can see this a little easier? Thanks. Yeah. Oh yeah, you can see it right there. That's very clear.
Now this particular security feature is found in all denominations from 5 to 100.
Okay.
But based on the denomination, the security feature is in a different location and it glows a different color. Now the $5 bill will glow blue under UV light. The 10 glows orange. The 20 will glow green. The 50 will glow yellow. And then the 100 glows pink.
Okay. Can you see it from both sides of the node or just from the one side?
You can view it from both sides, but depending on which side you actually put the UV light, the thread might look a little different.
All right, so are there any other features?
Well, there is actually a feature called Color Shifting Ink. Now, this is found in the lower right corner, and it uses the same ink that's found in the bell node as well. Now, if you take the note and tilt it back and forth, you'll see that the 100 in the lower right corner actually shifts from copper to green.
Whichever way you tilt it, it'll change.
Just tilt it back and forth. Okay. One other very easy to recognize feature for the consumer is the raised printing. Now this is found in the shoulder of Benjamin Franklin's jacket, and the printing is very pronounced. And if you rub your finger across it, you can actually feel how raised the printing is there.
Oh yeah, rigid.
That's a characteristic of the intaglio printing process, and very, very difficult for counterfeiters to replicate that.
Great. So, given that there are all these different security features, how is it that counterfeiters are able to create a counterfeit?
Well, because digital technology is so inexpensive and so widely available, counterfeiters have a lot more tools at their disposal that they can use. Now, a lot of these tools will help them replicate the overall image and the look of the bill itself, but what they aren't able to do is replicate a lot of the security features that we talked about. So we'll compare a counterfeit with what we call a specimen node, which is a genuine. We can compare these side by side. So this is just a basic example of a counterfeit that is printed using a digital device.
You can definitely see that the counterfeit is a little fuzzier than the actual specimen.
Yes, it's printed using a different type of printing, and if you were to rub your finger on the counterfeit, you wouldn't feel that raised print that you recognize on the genuine.
Okay.
One of the other security features that is easy to check in this particular counterfeit is if you hold it up to the light to look for the portrait watermark. And we could use the light table if you would like.
It's Abraham Lincoln.
It's an incorrect watermark.
So they took the lower denomination note and then they made it look like a $100 note.
Exactly. And so if a consumer takes the time to look at the watermark and realize that it doesn't match the portrait, then they would know that something is wrong with this bill.
Okay. So you don't want to just check to make sure that there is a watermark. You want to make sure that the portrait's matched.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, one of the other things that some consumers could look for, particularly in the banking industry, is microprinting. Now, microprinting is found in various locations along the front of a bill. And when counterfeiters replicate or try to replicate microprinting, it often doesn't come out reading what the microprinting is supposed to read. And I brought a couple images to show you what that looks like. Now this image here is an example of the genuine microprinting found on a 100. This is in the portrait area of Benjamin Franklin, and you can easily read the text of the United States of America. In comparison, this is the counterfeit that you just looked at.
Okay.
Now you can see in the portrait area that United States of America text is all blurred.
And this is the same counterfeit I just saw.
This is exactly the same counterfeit.
All right. Can you tell us anything about your team's day-to-day tasks in the forensics lab?
Well, whenever a new counterfeit comes into our lab, the first thing we try to do is see if it matches any of the counterfeits that we've already seen. So we'll do a simple check of our database to look for that information. Then we'll actually try to analyze the counterfeit and determine how it was manufactured and maybe what techniques the counterfeiter used to try to replicate some of these security features.
Okay, do you see a lot of counterfeits from the same press or the same producer?
A lot of times there are characteristics in the counterfeit that let us know that they're coming from the same counterfeiter. In fact, sometimes we see counterfeits that are so bad they might have a misspelling or something in them, and we see that over and over again. You know it's probably coming from the same counterfeiter.
Is each and every $100 note exactly the same, or are there variations?
Each piece of genuine currency has a serial number that refers to the series year in which it was issued and the Federal Reserve Bank that it was issued from. Now, if you wouldn't mind handing me the new 100, I can show you what some of those other distinguishing features are.
Okay.
Along with that serial number, the piece of genuine currency actually has small letters and numbers scattered throughout the front and the back.
Okay.
Now, these letters and numbers, as you can see here, actually tell us information about the genuine printing plate that this note came from the Bureau of Engraving and Printing.
Like a plate like this one?
Well, yes, this is actually a genuine production plate from the Bureau of Engraving and Printing. And these letters and numbers tell us not only which printing plate the note came from, but also tells us which position on the printing plate that note came from. So you can see on the printing plate there actually are those letters and numbers.
Yeah,
on the plate itself.
Yeah. So now, why would you want to know where on a particular plate a specific note had come from?
Well, we use those letters and numbers in regards to counterfeits because obviously a counterfeiter is also going to have those letters and numbers on their counterfeit. Oftentimes, counterfeiters will use the same patterns of letters and numbers. So we enter that into our database and it helps us connect possible counterfeits together.
Now, what are some simple tools that merchants and consumers can use to protect themselves from counterfeit notes?
So there are a couple of very inexpensive and easy-to-use tools that the consumer can have. The first is what we call a magnifying loupe. This is a very inexpensive magnifying device that you simply place on top of the bill in question, and you can look for some of those smaller features like microprinting.
Right, that we saw earlier on the monitor.
Yes.
What else?
Well, a very small handheld UV light would also be helpful if you wanted to view the pink UV security thread found on the 100.
Okay. Makes sense. Now, I've always wondered about those pens that cashiers use at the checkout. Are they reliable?
That counterfeit detection pen is not always the most reliable resource to have because while it detects some of the components of paper that might be used to produce counterfeit, it also is very easy for the counterfeiters to treat their counterfeit so that it won't react to that type of pen.
Okay, so you want to rely on the security features that are built into the note itself.
Yes, that's very important.
What's my incentive to check currency at all?
Well, when you are the one that is left holding a counterfeit bill, you're the one that loses the money. So if you accept the counterfeit 100, you're going to lose that $100. So that's why it's very important for us to educate the public on what security features to look for. If they know those features, then they can be confident that they're accepting a genuine bill.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks again for having me.
If you suspect you have passed a counterfeit note, there are a few tips. First, note the characteristics of the person who attempted to pass the fake note, and if possible, write down a description of any vehicle he or she drove and the license plate number, but don't put yourself in any danger. Next, immediately contact your local police department or United States Secret Service field office. Secret Service contact numbers can be found on the Law Enforcement Interactive Map on www.newmoney.gov. Write your initials and the date in the order of the suspect note. Remember to limit the handling of the note and protect it by putting it in an envelope. Only turn the note over to a police officer or a U.S. Secret Service agent. This information and more on how to authenticate a new $100 note can be found on our official website at newmoney.gov. And now it's time for our special edition Did You Know Trivia segment, Spotlighting! Did you know the United States Secret Service was established way back in 1865 as a branch of the U.S. Treasury Department? It was originally created to combat the counterfeiting of U.S. currency. Back then, after the Civil War, it was estimated that 1/3 to 1/2 of the currency in circulation was counterfeit. It was not until 1901, after the assassination of President William McKinley, that the Secret Service began to provide presidential protection. The Secret Service was also the first U.S. domestic intelligence and counterintelligence agency. Today, the Secret Service has two distinct areas of responsibility: to protect the president, past presidents, and their families, as well as to safeguard our financial payment systems from counterfeiting in order to preserve the integrity of the financial infrastructure of the United States. Following this episode, be sure to visit other parts of the website at newmoney.gov, the official site for information about the new $100 note. Check back often to learn more. Plus, look out for more episodes coming soon, where we'll explore other aspects of the new $100 note, such as the art of banknote design, the printing process, and following the life cycle of a note in circulation. Thank you for joining us, and I hope that you learned something new today. Until next time, I'm David. Remember, it only takes a few seconds to check the new $100 note. Know its features. Know it's real.
Sexy saxophone, honky horn, sax flute, sick, sailor art, sick, sailor art. Sexy saxophone, honky horn, sax flute, sick, sailor art. The sexy saxophone, honky horn, sax flute, sick, sexy saxophone, honky horn, sax flute, sick, sexy saxophone, honky horn, sax flute, sick.
Hi, I'm Sonia from the Federal Reserve Board. There's no question that it's important for the government to protect U.S. currency from counterfeiting. In fact, protecting our currency is vital to the global economy. But you, as a public citizen, have a responsibility in the fight against counterfeiting as well. You're about to learn just how important you are in keeping our currency protected from counterfeiting. After all, you are the first and best line of defense. It's as simple as holding a bill up to the light to look for the security features. For example, on the new $5 bill, take a second to look for the two watermarks. One is a big 5 to the right of President Lincoln's portrait. The other one is a column of 3 5s to the left. With one quick look, you're protecting your hard-earned money and keeping counterfeiters in check.
If everyone does that at the point of sale, you will find that counterfeiting will go down dramatically. In order to increase the trust of our banknotes, the high acceptance of our banknotes, it's critical that we educate our users. And it's critical we get them to take this action, quick second action. Just look up the banknotes and look this up before you accept it, because that puts a lot of burden on the counterfeiters.
Knowing how to check your money is important. First, protecting yourself from getting a counterfeit bill. If you get stuck with a counterfeit, you cannot trade it in for the real thing. You must hand it over to local authorities and take the law. Second, you are helping to protect the integrity of U.S. currency all over the world. Essentially, a public education program when changes are made to our money, to make sure that people who use it around the world will recognize it and know it's real.
Last year, 46% of it, approximately 53 million, was seized prior to being passed into circulation. So between public education, again, aggressive law enforcement, and redesigning the currency, we think this has been a healthy, successful approach to minimizing the currency and economic loss.
We work hard to make sure that counterfeiting remains at low levels. But remember, if you accept the fake, you're stuck with it. So take a second to check your money. It's as simple as holding it up to the light and looking for the security feature. Until next time, thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our other podcasts.
Down,
can hand money to the cashier, both you and the cashier trust that the money you hold in your hand is genuine. That's because you both trust it and you both feel confident about accepting. That trust and acceptance did not happen all by itself. It takes work and time to build that relationship, and that is something the U.S. government takes very seriously. Let me show you what the U.S. government does every day to protect your hard-earned dollars, and what you can do yourself to protect your money. It's a small rectangular piece of paper, but the power in the bill is huge. It means you can put gas in your car, buy groceries for your family, or simply enjoy a night out. It all happens because of two words: trust and acceptance.
Trust and acceptance of the U.S. government, both in the United States and internationally, is vital to the safety of
Down like Trump, I'm down with Trumpet. I'm down with Trumpet. I'm down with Trumpet. I don't like Trump. I'm down with Trump. I'm down
As the
with
U.S.
Trump.
government introduces new
I'm
currencies,
down,
we also
Donald
work hard to
Trumpet.
protect the people who use it.
I'm down.
This is crucial to ensure a smooth transition for the new money. You need to know about the new security features, updates to the design, and how to check your money to make sure it's real. For the new $5 bill, that means learning about the two new watermarks, the new position of the security thread, and how to find them by simply holding the bill up to the light.
When people understand the security features well enough to be able to take this brand new $5 bill and immediately identify whether it's a genuine bill or a false bill, if you can frustrate counterfeiters because they have difficulty passing those bills, we all win in that process.
Maintaining trust in our currency is important, and it involves a partnership within the government.
We've had a very successful three-prong approach in minimizing and eliminating much of the work that the criminals do when it comes to counterfeiting U.S. currency. The three-prong approach would be aggressive law enforcement, both here domestically and with our international partners. The second would be redesigning the bill on the regimen that we have established with our partners on the Federal Reserve, Bureau of Engraving and Printing, and the Treasury Department. And the third component, which is also an integral part of that strategy, would be educating the public and letting them know what the security features are, and quite frankly, how little time it takes to actually look at a bill to verify its authenticity.
The good news is our efforts are working. Counterfeiting of U.S. currency is not a significant economic problem. The chance of finding a counterfeit bill in your wallet is very low, and we want to keep it that way. So make sure you know how to check your money so you trust it's real.
Currency is a trust medium. We must always work in trust. If we lose the trust of our users, it'll take forever to regain it. It's important for us to communicate to people what the features are in their banknotes so that they can be the first line of defense.
Even though the chance of getting a counterfeit bill is low, make sure you know how to check your bills. Protect yourself by learning the easy-to-use security features. Remember, trust and acceptance start with keeping the counterfeits out of your wallet. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out our other podcasts.
It's more advanced. It's more secure. Introducing the new $5 bill, like you've never seen it before.
We want to make sure that the bill is safe, it's easy to use, and that people who use the bank are protected.